Welcome back to the Mr. He Got Game show. Allow me to introduce a very, very lovely guest that I have here today. We're going to start off with Tamiko Lowry.
Hi, I'm Tamiko Lowry. I'm the founder of the Still Standing Foundation for Survivors of Domestic Violence, and our mission is to empower victims to become survivors.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to go to the next guest, a special guest. She just decided to sit in at the last minute. We got Latrina Cockrell.
Hi, my name is Latrina Cockrell, and I'm a hairstylist and makeup artist at White Diamond Image Consulting.
And when we get back, we're going to dive into the serious questions regarding domestic violence. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go ahead and get started with the first question. Tamiko, I have a question. How did you become a victim of domestic violence? Go ahead and share that with me.
Well, let me first start off by just sharing a little bit about domestic violence. It's not always physical. It can be emotional, it can be psychological, it can be mental. Those are different forms of abuse. And for me, it kind of snuck up on me emotionally. You know, my ex-husband kind of tore me down. You know, he made my self-esteem low. He was never satisfied with who I was, the way I looked, the way I dressed, the way I cooked, the way I cleaned. My personality wasn't good enough. You know, I was, you're just too silly, you're just too that. And so eventually I started to believe that stuff about myself. No matter how much I was out at work and people were like, oh, you're beautiful, oh, you have a wonderful personality. That meant nothing to me if my husband didn't like it. And so he just began to tear me down little by little, psychologically and emotionally.
Okay, Latrina Cockrell, she's sitting in, she's not a victim herself, but she's sitting in to give us some input. She's a hairstylist at
White Diamond
Image Consulting. I do apologize. Now, when ladies walk into the salon, is there any telltale signs where you can tell where they're victims of domestic violence?
No, not always. I can sometimes tell if a woman is a victim of domestic violence because of the way she talks to me when I want to maybe change her image. If her image does not fit the way her spouse or significant other wants it, then I can catch it.
Is he normally there to coach you?
I have seen that. I have actually had husband come in to give me direction on what to do with their significant other.
But there's no telltale signs just walking down the street and I can't pick out a woman and just say, hey, she's a victim of domestic violence.
You have beautiful women, as you can tell, that are victims, and you have women every day that speak well, they look well, and they smile. You would never know.
Okay, so I want to piggyback off of what Trina was saying, just regarding being able to spot a victim of domestic violence. And that is not always the case, because even in my situation, you know, people that I worked with would have never known that I was a victim of domestic violence or what I went through at home. I always kept a smile on my face. You know, I'm always very friendly. I was always outgoing. The only people that really knew were the people that knew me, close friends and family members. You know, they were like, this isn't the same Tamiko. That's not the same big smile. I'm smiling, but there's something under there.
They can see through it.
Yes, they can see through
the
it.
frosting, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, now it's time to hit below the belt. Okay, so I want to know from a male's perspective, as beautiful as you are, they say the majority of women who are domestically violated are beautiful. So why the hell, when you have all these guys out here that would love to be with you and love to treat you any kind of way and treat you as a queen, why the hell would you allow a guy to batter you?
It's not an issue of allowing it. Sometimes you get stuck. And again, I'm going to talk about my own personal situation. When you have a person constantly pulling out a gun in front of you and saying, you think you're going to leave me? Cleaning the gun, playing with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're afraid. So a lot of it is fear. A lot of it was financial. You know, he was the breadwinner. He made most of the money. We lived off of his income. I worked part-time. And I just was afraid that, you know, I wouldn't be able to make it financially. And then I had children. They were not his children. My children are from another relationship. But, you know, he would threaten my family, threaten my children, and things like that. And so, to me, I was protecting my family. And again, you know, my situation, he always had a gun, and I knew it was there.
Plus, ladies, as you can hear, it's not about the money. The money makers may be the ones that's more prone to tell you what to do and what not to do. but from your experience, has anyone ever shared why they've stayed in a domestic violence situation?
The fear of leaving and the fear of the unknown is more fearful than staying. At least they know where they are and what they have, and they may not experience the abuse every day, but they're able to maintain a certain image by staying versus leaving.
But life is full of unknowns. When you start a new job, you never know what the experiences are going to be on that job. You know what I mean? When you move, you never know what the experiences are going to be on the move when you have kids. So why is it so hard for you to get out of that situation not knowing? When you have family members, you have friends that are more than willing to welcome you into their household.
And that is true. But some people have pride. Unfortunately, that is a reason. You know, you have pride. You don't want your family to know what you're going through. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to look at somebody and say, you know what, this is what I'm going through. It's you just don't feel comfortable. You know, and for me, it was something I had to get through on my own. Nobody knew until it was over. And they were like, well, why did you leave him? You guys had the big house. You know, you had all the cars. You had this. Nobody could really understand.
Okay, we're going to get to the next question. People out here in today's society, what are the telltale signs they should look for when you're approached by an abuser? Is there anything that just stands out?
There's not always going to be something that stands out. Most abusers, they know how to mask it. They're gentlemen. You know, my ex-husband was a perfect gentleman when we met. You know, he never raised his voice to me or anything like that. So sometimes it's hard to tell, but you do see subtle things. You know, and those are things I should have picked up in the beginning, like, why are you wearing that? That's not cute. I mean, just little things like that. And I'm like, oh, he wants to make sure I look nice, or, you know, he really cares about me, but it was really power, and it's controlling. So a lot of times they have a controlling personality. You know, my ex-husband treated our household like he was at work. You know, he had a high management position, and that's the way our household was. It's like, oh gosh, if I don't clean up, I'm going to be reprimanded. You know, so it's power.
Reprimanded in what way? Verbally?
Most of the time it was verbally. It didn't turn physical until later on.
Okay, what about yourself? Has any clients ever shared the information with you regarding?
I would just like to share an experience that I've seen personally. As I mentioned earlier, I've seen husbands come into the salon, and when I'm finished, I've styled, everything is over, they'll say, well, maybe next time you should get a shorter cut. Maybe like hers, maybe you'll look better. Or maybe next time you'll get your eyebrows done. Or maybe next time we'll do this. And I've seen the woman just kind of say, okay, okay, okay. And then on the next appointment, they want to go with exactly what the husband mentioned. Come to find out, later on down the road, she was being abused.
So just out of curiosity, you don't feel it's your position to say, why can't she have her own hairstyle? This is the one she chose to wear. What's wrong with that?
I have chosen not to cross that line for
financial reason?
No,
is it for financial reasons?
No, for the protection of the woman.
How is the protection of the woman? You're just the one that's vocally speaking out and saying, hey, this is what she selected.
I
this
make
is
my
what she feels
suggestions.
she looks good at.
I'll make my suggestions, but I don't think it's my place. Definitely not in the presence, because I don't want her to leave and be abused because of something that I've said.
Or possibly never come back and give you any more money for
I'm not worried about money. And the main reason I chose to be in the profession that I'm in, because I was an educator for 15 years. I taught children. I've seen what abuse does to children. I've seen my coworkers come in that have been abused. So as a hairstylist and a makeup artist, I'm choosing to give women opportunity and, you know, the possibility of raising your self-esteem. I'm just using makeup and hair to do that. Now,
but not verbally telling them as well, or making suggestions?
I do offer my suggestions. I do offer my suggestions, my recommendations. I even have taken, you know, I won't say I put myself at risk, but what I won't do is just have an argument in the middle of the salon with a husband. If he says that's what he wants his wife to have, if she agrees, I go with it. But I do make recommendations.
So you never thought about saying, hey, if you're in a difficult situation and you need somebody to talk to, you should call me?
They talk. I don't even have to ask. They talk.
Okay, Tamiko, let me ask you a question. How long was the period of violence that you dealt with?
3 years.
3 years?
Yes.
And how did you become a survivor? What was the pushing point to say, hey, I got to get out of here, enough is enough? What brought that decision?
I would have to say when my health became an issue. I was so stressed out literally to the point where I would have migraines every day. And so I was constantly taking different pills to control the migraines. I would throw up for no reason because I was always nervous, and so I was always throwing up. I went to the hospital and they told me that my liver was failing because I was taking so many Tylenol and aspirin because of the migraine. So my blood pressure was high. So I had high blood pressure. I had migraines. I took medication to control the migraines. My liver was failing. There was just so much going on with my health. And I said, this relationship is killing me. A person can really affect your health, and my health was becoming affected by it.
So at that particular point, you just decided, hey, this isn't good for me. I need to make a change.
It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for my children. My son began to get sick. He would have migraines, and it just got to a point where I had to come up with a plan. And I said, either this man is going to really physically harm me and kill me, or I'm going to kill him. It got to that point where I was like, I can't take this. When you get to the point where you're at home at night and your spouse doesn't come home and you don't care, I would think, well, maybe he got into an car accident and maybe he died. When it gets to that point, that's an issue. When you wish death on a person is bad.
Yeah.
And I just knew it was time.
Okay. Has anybody shared any experiences with you as how they became survivors, or do you know any survivors?
I know survivors. It's just the women that, like Tamiko has said, that just decided to step out and just go.
So you step out on faith, Tamiko. Let me get back to you since you're the survivor. You step out on faith. What was your exit strategy? Did you prepare a month in advance? Did you prepare 2 months in advance? Or did you just say, this moment, he's out of the house, and I just need to do something?
Let me say this. I left twice. So the first time I planned it, he would go shoot pool like every Sunday. And I planned my exit strategy. I found an apartment on the other side of town. And as soon as he left to go shoot pool, the truck came, I loaded up the truck, and I left. And I was gone for about 2 months, and then we went to counseling. He promised that
But hold on.
better.
Before counseling, how did he get in contact with you? Was it just habitual calls and you just decided to answer the phone, or?
Yeah, well, we had the house. We were trying to actually go through our legal separation, and we were selling our house, so we had to talk about, well, how much, what are we going to split up and things like that. And, one day he was just like, I miss you. I want to make this work. I'm sorry. I'll go to counseling. And so I wanted my marriage to work. We both went to counseling together, and I thought things were better.
So how long did that last?
It lasted a month. We bought a new house. He surprised me. He was big with surprises, big things, big houses. He buys this big house and says, this is your present for coming back home to me. I stayed in that house 29 days.
Hear that? Don't let money control you.
No.
Don't let money control you. So after 29 days, after the second time, you finally said enough is enough. And so this particular time when you decide to exit, and you still had to go through the same procedures that you went through before.
Exactly.
But at one particular point, did you just say no? I mean, was it physical at this particular point when you guys met up again? Did he threaten you? Did he send you texts? Was it phone calls?
He hadn't really even, the second time, he didn't hit me. It was still verbal. It was still belittling me, and I knew I was better than that. And so I did come up with a plan. He took a business trip, and that was my chance to get away. I didn't have an apartment set up. I had nothing. My children, I'm from Buffalo, New York, up north. I sent them up north for the summer, and I just said, this is something I'm going to have to handle on my own. He took a business trip, and I left. I left everything in the house and just took my clothes and left, and that was it.
But was there any communication after you left? Were there emails?
There were emails. I had a restraining order,
visits?
So he couldn't, no.
He didn't come to the job at all?
No, he couldn't. We worked together.
Wow.
So they had to move me to a different department, and eventually he lost his job because we found out that he had been using their equipment to track me. My phones were tapped. There was a GPS, there was a system put in my car where he knew everywhere I was going, and he had been doing that for years. So once the company investigated, he was terminated.
They found out that they were using their illegally. About yourself, did anybody share any exit strategies with you, or?
Not really sure about the exit strategies. No, not per se. I've just seen the women that finally come back and say, I'm ready to release, you know.
And they're rejoiced.
And rejoiced.
I got you.
And have short hair. How about that?
I know about the short hair. My husband loved long hair. I could not wait. My hair was as short as hers is at one point after I left him.
Okay, now I want you to share with everybody, what advice would you give as far as an exit strategy when it comes to leaving a domestic violence situation? I mean, seriously, what advice? Because there's people out here that's living it day to day, but they don't know how to get out.
Right. I want to say that you have to have a plan, but a plan is not always ideal. Sometimes you just have to believe in yourself and you have to leave. And I say that because when I left, I had nothing. Literally, I didn't have anything.
Like Tina Turner, right? You did a Tina Turner?
I did a Tina Turner.
Did you keep your name?
No. He can have his name. But literally, and I share this with people because people are afraid because of their finances and things like that. But I will tell you, it didn't matter. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment with my 2 children, and we were content and we were at peace. There were times where I didn't have money to feed my children. I literally had to steal lean cuisine, people's lunches out of the break room to feed my family.
We're gonna edit this part. I'm just joking.
I mean, that's real. Being realistic.
Yes.
That's what you can edit that, but that's just being real. And that was the situation. But you just really have to say, I'm better than this. You have to empower yourself, too. Those are some of the things that I focus on with my foundation is empowerment. And empowerment comes from believing in yourself, loving yourself. Take some classes on how to balance your finances. You know what I mean? Take a self-defense class. I'm a certified self-defense instructor now. Just do something to make you feel good about yourself.
That's great. That's great. By chance, you have any advice on an exit strategy? I mean, have you given anybody any advice? Have you ever thought about taking it that far?
Like I say, you don't always know the whole story in the situation, but like I said, I've made suggestions, and my advice to women is just always take care of yourself. And there's always a way out. You just have to decide to choose it.
Right.
Especially when you're beautiful like Tamiko. You can always call me.
And the thing about it, too, you always just have to be ready to leave at a moment's notice.
And I want to say that, but we're talking about beauty, but you just want all women to be able to leave and go.
I give you that much. I give you that. I give you that much. I give you that.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and come back after this commercial with our closing statement. Okay, Tamika, I need you to tell me something. Tell me a little bit about isolation. I don't know anything about isolation. I'm a guy, so how is that involved?
Well, isolation is basically when your significant other, your boyfriend or your spouse, isolate you from family and friends. And that's another way that they are able to have control over you because they've isolated you. And that's also another way that you can notice if a person is in a domestic violence situation, if they've become isolated.
Now give me signs of isolation.
Sometimes you'll isolate yourself because of embarrassment. And then there are times when your spouse will isolate you because he wants you to himself. An example that I can give is I was not allowed to really have a girls' night out with my girlfriends or go on an all-girls trip. If I said I'm going out to dinner tonight with a couple of my girlfriends, he would say, okay, we can do that. So it would be me and my girlfriends.
So you want to go back? So you want to go back and say no? It's just the girls.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So has he ever said, okay, after 9 o'clock, you cannot have any more calls?
No, it was never like that.
No
Nobody
phone
called
restriction.
me anyways after a while because to them I was acting weird and they didn't know what was going on with me. So after a while, people thought it was my fault. Well, Tamiko doesn't call me and she never wants to do anything. Oh, she's married now. She thinks she's this and that because they are in the big house. And that was not the case. It's just I really couldn't. I couldn't do anything.
So basically, I guess isolation, you go to work and then you go home.
And you go home. And he
life.
did such a great job at isolating me to where I found this out later on, but we worked at the same company because he maneuvered some stuff and got me hired so that we could drive to work every day, go to lunch every day. And it was like torture being with the person that, you know.
Sleeping with the enemy, right?
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's why I really wanted to touch on isolation You know, if you have a female friend and she becomes isolated, you might want to check on her, you know, see what's going on.
How could I check? Could I just call her, pop up? But do you really think she's going to be honest about her
You're
situation?
right. I mean, and that's true too, but that's a sign. That is definitely one of the bigger signs is isolation.
So what about you? Same thing with you and your clients? You don't see them until it's time to get their hair done? No
Well, no.
hanging out with the girls?
Well, no, I'm just glad to hear Tamiko say that. You know, that's something that I can definitely look into if or ask about if I suspect something. But just to hear that the form of that kind of isolation could be a sign of.
So if I got some friends that stop calling me, I need to really find out what's going on, right?
Well, I
Who is
wouldn't
this
say
new
that.
dude?
It's a lot of reasons why people may not come and get their hair done, but it's just good to hear.
Okay.
Hear the signs.
I got you. Okay, let's talk about exit preparation. What are some of the strategies? Let's go back, because I know you left some out that you know.
I did. You always want to, if you can, prepare in advance if you can. There are just a few things I did want to go over. You should always know your abuser's red flags, what's going to tick him off, you know. Try your best not to touch on any of those red flags. You also want to identify any safety areas of the house.
Now, what do you mean by safety?
Find a place in the house that is safe for you to go to that he may not, it could be an extra bedroom, somewhere that you go that's safe. It may have to be a closet. You know, just
What do you mean, safety as far as
safety,
locking
a place
or?
that you can go and lock the door and
Okay.
feel safe. Yes. One of the other things is come up with a code word. You know, if you've let a friend know, hey, I'm planning on leaving, if I call you with this code word, if I say fire or if I say helicopter, that means
Or I ran
that's
out
the
of
code.
bacon. Or I ran out of bacon.
Just, yeah,
right?
so you want to come up with a code for yourself, for the children, and, you know, whoever is going to be helping you.
Now, what do you tell the kids? I mean,
with
if you
this.
come up with a code word, what do you tell the kids? How did you introduce the kids to the code word? What do you say?
Well, I had a code word, you know, and our emergency code word, well, they're older now, so it was helicopter. If anybody said helicopter in my house, that means I'm in danger.
Okay, and what were the steps for the kids to do when you said helicopter?
Go to the front door.
Okay,
Meet me at the
with
front
or
door.
without you?
With or without me, go to
Okay.
the front door.
Okay.
And so you definitely have to come up with something like that, especially if they're old enough to understand.
So it's something you yell out, helicopter?
And it's time to go.
Okay.
Okay? You have to be ready at a moment's notice. You know, if you can't plan it, just be ready to go. If he leaves to go shoot pool or go to the grocery store, just go.
I gotcha.
You know, take the kids and go. If it's just you, just go. That's the only thing you can do is just go. You know, you want to practice escaping quickly and safely, and also make a list of emergency contacts. Try to memorize them or make a list and keep it somewhere. Keep a bag somewhere with all your emergency contacts or anything that you'll need when you're trying to exit.
What about a bag that you're prepared to exit
You
with?
should always, I would keep something in my trunk.
Okay. You have anything you'd like to share on that topic?
No, I think I'm okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
I also want to let everybody know about the National Domestic Awareness Hotline number. They are available 24 hours a day to help you. It's a national number, and that number is 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233.
And the number will appear at the bottom of the screen as you can see it. I want to thank you, ladies, for spending the time coming on this show, sharing your input, especially you sharing your story, and you as well for, you know, filling in at the last minute. Be aware that there's people out there that's going through this every day, and here are some of the telltale signs that can give you a clue of what's going on. So reach out to them if you can. Latrina wouldn't suggest it, but me, myself, I believe you can be a blessing to somebody. And of course, it's not everybody's business to get in another person's situation. But if there's something you can do, offer them advice, offer them a safe house, I would suggest doing so. Thank you again, and be prepared for the next show.
I really think this was a good show. I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel and allowing me to share my personal experience. I've come to believe that you can turn your wounds into wisdom for other people. And I just hope that women out there that are listening today, that they find some encouragement in what they heard today. And I hope that the abusers, if there are any abusers out there, I do pray and hope that your heart can be changed.
Because it's not going to continue forever and ever. But I'm honored to have you on my show. I've known you for a while, never knew your story. This is the first time you came out and shared it with me. I want to thank you for doing so because it's going to make an impact upon somebody's life if it touches just one person. I want to thank you as well for coming up on the show.
Thank you.
Impromptu, and you did a good job. You know what I mean?
Thank
This
you.
is the makeup artist. She just came on at the last minute, and she just filled in greatly.
Thank you. And I want to say that we do offer self-image courses at White Diamond Image Consulting. We offer makeup one-on-one for the woman that's ready to make a change. And, of course, we offer hair and makeup services. So we're there.
And as you can see, if you're doing a show like I am, she did my makeup, so. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate it, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, the first item is $20 gift certificate at Bistro Asia.
Ooh, thank you.
My favorite restaurant, if anybody knows. Second thing is I got a half-an-hour massage from Couture Wellness.
Okay, I need that.
Perfect.
The third thing I have is shoes. A $50 certificate at LA Theme Boutique.
Oh,
Wow,
that is
thank
I say
wonderful.
shoes, but she
you.
said you can use it on anything, okay?
We like shoes.
Love you.
Still standing.
Thank you.
You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Thank you, ladies. In conclusion, domestic violence can happen to anyone of any race, age, sexual orientation, religion, or gender. It happens to couples who are married, living together, or just dating. Remember one thing, domestic violence affects people of all social, economic backgrounds, and educational levels. Until the next show, Mr. He Got Game is out.